guys, and welcome to my birthday dinner and dessert. However, there's a little bit of I'm in a new apartment again, and we are going to be starting with the dessert. And I am going to be using two recipes out of a recipe book that I wrote down when I was 9. Now, I just turned 26, so this is 16 years since I wrote this down. It's gonna be wonderful, hopefully. But the first thing is something called Wave Your Flag Cheesecake, and I know for a fact that this includes berries. Alright, with the charger. So let's hope this turns out great.
So your first order of business is to slice 1 cup of strawberries and then set those aside for later. I highly doubt this is 1 cup, but I'm just starting off with these 4. I stand corrected. This was 1 cup. Alright? It says set aside. Yes, set aside. Or later. Then it says to have the remaining 3 cups of strawberries, which honestly should be the rest of the container. So we will simply take off the top and cut it in half into 2. So officially, all the strawberries are halved. Next thing we do is stir in some boiling water with 8 ounces of gelatin mix. It said any red gelatin mix, which could be cherry, strawberry, or raspberry. I chose strawberry. I would have chose raspberry, but I honestly don't know what the jelly tastes like, and I don't want to try and taste it with the cheesecake. Alrighty. By the way, I used 3 packets because 1 packet was not 8 ounces, I promise. Over here, I've got some boiling water. This needs to be mixed in. Just pour it gently into the bowl and mix it in for about 2 minutes or until the powder is completely dissolved. Okay, so now we've got our steaming hot mix. You need to add in 1 cup of water. However, you need to put enough ice in there that it hits all the way up to 2 cups. Like so. I don't know if you can see that with the lighting. And then we add that to the gelatin. And we stir this until this ice is melted. This is going to be wonderful. Alright, now that that's stirred and we're at a perfect room temperature, this says to set it aside in the refrigerator for 5 minutes or until slightly thickened, which should have the consistency of unbeaten egg whites. So my pan, it says to line a pan with 13 by 9 inch pan with pound cake, which should be cut into 10 slices. However, my 13 by 9 is still in storage, so I will make do with what I have, which is the next biggest pan I own. Okay, next order of business. Next, we add the sliced strawberries and 1 cup of blueberries to the gelatin mix. I read it wrong and thought it was on top of the pound cake. It is absolutely not. So that was my fault, but it is now in the jello mix. And what you need to do is take your spoon back and stir it in gently. So stir the berries in absolutely gently. Since we got our thickened jello now, then you take this and you spoon it gently. I'm probably going to get an actual spoon out. Hold on. We're going to get an actual spoon. Spoon it gently over your pound cake. This time I'm reading correctly, I promise. Gelatin and berry mix over the pound cake. Complete. This is why reading ahead is important. You need to now put in the fridge for 4 hours or until firm. Alright, so it's been about 2 hours since I made everything else. but I did just check on it and it kind of is very much hardened. So the next order of business is to beat 2 8-ounce packages of specifically Philadelphia cream cheese and 1/4 cup of sugar. Okay, now those are in. Take your handy dandy whisk. You may have to, because this has to be softened. This is actually the softest I've ever had these, so honestly. Take your handy dandy whisk. You gotta mix the cream cheese and the sugar together. Even though it says beat, I may actually just use the other mixing spoon. First of all, something I noticed is that every single recipe involving cheesecake always wants you to mix sugar and cream cheese. It's like a thing. Looks beautiful. Let's angle that. Beautiful. So what it wants me to do, because apparently it's exactly what I thought it was, which was it wants to do an American flag, which honestly I didn't realize at first that's what it wanted to do. Basically, you're supposed to align the mixture to make it look like stripes going across. So I shall do that. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's something like this. And then it tells me to put a 1/3 cup of blueberries on the cream cheese mixture for stars. So naturally, apparently it's supposed to look something like this. Sounds good, sounds tasty. I feel like I can eat it now. Have a nice night. I'll see you when I do the taco recipe. Okay, so this will be posted obviously after I finish the dessert. However, I am going to be making this while the dessert is chilling in the fridge for 4 hours. So, the first order of business, I'm going to be using another recipe from the same book. So I wrote this between the ages of 9 and 10, and it's called Easy Taco Casserole. I have eaten a taco casserole before, but it has been quite a while. So, I will do the best I can. First order of business is to brown 1 pound of ground beef. This is 3 pounds because I got it on markdown. Okay, first order of business would be to brown 1 pound of ground roast beef, or ground beef. Ground beef. Promise. Alright, now this is fully cooked. And sorry, I am actually notorious for not making the ground beef correctly, so it's a little burnt. However, next order of business is to drain it. You wanna know something? I, out of all of the things that I do own here, do not own a colander, so this ought to be fun. Next, it says to add 1 cup of salsa. Honestly, I didn't specify which type of salsa, I just used mild because I don't know how this one's gonna turn out. Next, it says to add 1/2 cup of mayonnaise or salad dressing, but I already have mayonnaise handy because I have a little bit of a thing with deviled eggs. By the way, a little tiny secret that I learned while baking is if you use something like this spoon and put it around here, you can actually scoop out the excess if it's harder to get out. Next, we need to add 2 tablespoons of chili powder to our mix in the pan. Next, it says we take in the saucepan, by the way. Mix all of these ingredients together until they are well blended. Okay, with the salsa, this smells interesting, but that is about the mix we got. That sounds about right. You know, I came to the realization that my glass dishes actually tell me the size on the bottom of the dish. I just got a strawberry on there. This is a 2-quart. A 2-quart. And that is exactly what we need for this taco dish. And it says put half of the mixture on top. So we do that first. Hold on. Okay, so as I'm reading, I need to get my candy tortilla chips out. So what you need to do is take half of the meat mixture and then put it on top with, so you're going to need a total of 2 cups of crushed tortilla chips, 1 cup of shredded Colby cheese, and 1 cup of shredded Monterey Jack cheese. However, when I went to the store, they didn't have Colby cheese anywhere, not even in blocks. So what I got was the nacho and taco blend, which actually is just cheddar instead of Colby. So we got cheddar in Monterey. Little adjustment, not always a problem. So, however, I'm going to do, what you need to do is do half of everything. So we need to do half the meat mixture, 1 cup of crushed tortilla chips, and it's technically half a cup of each cheese, so we're just going to do 1 cup of this. Okay, so we have 1 cup of crushed tortilla chips. We need to layer that on top of our meat mixture, which apparently is not sifted correctly. Let's sift that real quick. Okay. And then we add those crushed tortilla chips on top of our meat mixture. So, we got that. Then, we need to do 1 cup of the cheese, which is half, which if you're following the recipe directly is half of each cheese. If we're totally half a cup of each cheese, obviously it's, you know. So then you put that on top of your crushed tortilla chips. Just layer that out a little bit more even, because even's something I'm doing, Stephen. Okay. Then it says to repeat. So do the rest of it same way you just did it. Oh, and a little side note with crushed tortillas. What I usually do is I put it in a Ziploc bag or some type of like small baggie and then just kind of beat it with a rolling pin or like push on it with my hand like that. However, I don't have Ziploc bags right now, so what I just did was just crushed it with my hand, which honestly is very effective anyway. Alright, next order of business is to take our little taco thing over here and put it in our, let's adjust it here, handy dandy oven for, pretty sure that's like 25 to 30 minutes. Let's double check that. 20 to 25 minutes on 350. I will be back when that is done. Alrighty. So, it's been 20 minutes. Give a look. See how he does it. Food is super great. However, this is bad. Actually, it looks like I browned it. I browned it a little, so we should be good there. Turn off our handy dandy oven. Let's turn on the broil. Then, so it's just before serving. You need to top with the tomatoes and lettuce. The lettuce has to be 2 cups of shredded lettuce, and then you need to have 1 medium tomato that is chopped. Alright, so I did have to look up the difference between diced and chopped, and apparently there is no difference. It's literally the same thing. So we have our chopped tomato, and also known as diced tomato, and hold on, let me move the camera up. And add that on top of your now cooked mixture. And I did dice this myself. I got a fresh medium tomato from our produce department, and I chopped this myself. So, got our diced tomato. Just rinse that off. Next, so I was gonna get just like regular shredded lettuce. However, I needed 2 cups, and usually 1 cup is about 8 ounces, and unfortunately, they only had like a 6 ounce of regular shredded lettuce. And this was iceberg shredded lettuce. We had a 1 pound of this, and it was like $1.50 more than the small bag. So I just decided to go with iceberg lettuce, because honestly, I've never been able to tell the difference. Alright, so we got 1 cup of lettuce right here. You're gonna want to add that slowly, evenly to the top of your mixture. And then we're gonna get another cup and we're gonna add the rest. 2nd cup of fire. Got 2nd cup on top. And we have officially finished the dinner. Our easy taco casserole. However, the pan is still hot, as I have just noticed. Just a fun fact, I can't feel much heat in my hands, so yeah, that pan is probably a lot hotter than you would think. I would use oven mitts if you hold that up. But I'm a savage and opened it from the center. That's my fault, but let's get that down. Let's put that shut. And that is it for the taco casserole. I more than likely, let's move this up. Let's not chop off the head. I will be getting back to the cheesecake, which you probably have already seen the rest of the recipe, but I have to get back to that in about 3 hours, so I will enjoy this while I'm waiting on that. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, please like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And if you want to see more videos like this, I am working on getting some big videos out once I get a little more financially stable, I promise. But once I get a set schedule, I should have my gaming videos on Mondays, these cooking videos on Wednesdays, and my story coming out on Friday if I haven't already finished the story by the time I am starting the cooking videos. However, the cooking videos, or the story, I already have, as of far now, I have the entire first book up, I have the prologue in chapter 1 of the second book up, and I now have a lineup all the way up to chapter 8 uploaded on my channel, coming out every Friday. So, please look forward to that, and thank you all for watching. Bye! Peace!